The grand hall of the Interstellar Council was vast, its high ceilings glittering with lights that mimicked distant stars. Delegates from dozens of worlds gathered in careful rows, their alien forms reflecting a kaleidoscope of colors. Each race had its customs, its ways of speaking and moving, yet today all attention was fixed on the center stage, where a human stood almost alone, facing a sea of eyes that regarded him with a mix of curiosity and skepticism. He was tall, with broad shoulders and a calm confidence that seemed out of place among beings who often measured worth by powers and displays of authority, rather than quiet presence. His name was Adam, a human known across systems, not just for skill and diplomacy, but for daring feats that had saved countless colonies from disasters no one else dared face. Today, however, he faced a challenge of a different kind, one that had nothing to do with strategy or courage. In battle dot at the center of the stage, beside Adam, stood a woman unlike any he had met before. She was an alien of elegance and poise, her skin a smooth silver that caught the light like molten metal. Her eyes were large, luminous, and held the depth of knowledge and experience far beyond what a human could immediately comprehend. Her people were respected across galaxies for their wisdom and diplomacy, and she carried herself with a grace that commanded attention without effort. Her name was Lyra. The council chamber was tense. The murmur of delegates hushed as she turned her gaze to Adam. The air seemed to thicken as she spoke, her voice a melodic resonance that carried easily to every corner of the hall. "I wish you were my husband, human," she said. The words hung in the air like a comet frozen in time. A stunned silence followed. Delegates blinked, exchanged glances, and some even shifted uneasily in their seats. Such a declaration, made in the midst of the council, was unprecedented. Humans, they knew, were fascinating yet fragile, often underestimated. For a member of the silver-skinned Lyran race to declare such an intent openly was more than shocking. It was scandalous by galactic standards. Adam's mind raced. He had anticipated many things coming to this council, from negotiations to subtle threats, but never an open declaration of desire, let alone in front of hundreds of witnesses. Yet he remained composed. Years of facing dangers, both in space and among political arenas, had taught him that reactions mattered as much as words themselves. He met her gaze calmly, letting the silence stretch. Lyra continued, unflinching, her eyes never leaving his. "I have watched your actions across the stars. Your courage, your integrity, the way you value life. It is unlike anything I have seen. I admire you deeply. More than admiration, I wish for a bond that lasts beyond treaties, beyond wars, beyond lifetimes." Whispers rippled through the hall. Humans were rare in interstellar politics, and their culture often seemed primitive to other races. Yet Adam had become a legend, a symbol of what humanity could achieve when intellect and heart were combined. To hear an alien of Lyra's stature express such feelings was astonishing. Adam took a steady breath. His voice, when he finally spoke, was calm, measured. "Lyra, I am honored by your words. I have long respected your people, and your courage in facing the council today is admirable. But such a bond, it requires understanding, time, and shared experience. Are you certain this is not a decision made in the intensity of the moment?" Lyra's eyes softened, a subtle glow emanating as though emotion itself had a physical presence for her. "I am certain," she said. "I have considered every aspect. My people value thought, reflection, and patience. Yet I have waited long. Enough. The universe is vast, and time is fleeting. I know my heart." The council murmured again, but this time the tone had shifted from shock to intrigue. Some delegates leaned forward, curious to see how a human would respond. Many had underestimated humans before, but few had seen one face the complexity of interstellar politics with such poise. Adam could sense the weight of the moment his response would ripple through systems, influence alliances, and perhaps change perceptions of humanity forever. He stepped closer, not in intimidation, but in shared presence. "And let us understand each other," he said, "not just as representatives of our species, not just as legends or diplomats, but as beings willing to share a path together. There is much I do not know of you, of your people, and yet I am willing to learn." Lyra's lips curved into a subtle smile, the first real warmth of emotion she had shown in the formal chamber. "And I will teach, Adam. I will show you the depths of our culture, our history, and our hearts. But more than that, I will share my world with you." From the gallery, a murmur rose, a mix of awe and disbelief. Delegates who had spent lifetimes navigating alliances and wars were witnessing something far beyond ordinary negotiation, a bridge forming between species, one that transcended politics, strategy, or fear. It was personal, profound, and entirely human in its simplicity. As Adam and Lyra spoke, the council chamber became a stage not just for debate, but for connection. They spoke of values, of dreams, of what each had seen in the universe, and what they wished to protect. The hall that had once been a place of scrutiny became a place of revelation. Hours passed, yet it felt as if time itself had slowed. Adam learned of Lyra's childhood on a planet where thought and empathy were the highest virtues, where every decision was weighed against its impact on all life. Lyra learned of Adam's upbringing on Earth, of humanity's struggles and triumphs, and how a single species had grown from fragile beginnings to challenge the stars with courage and ingenuity. By the end of the day, the council had witnessed a transformation. A declaration that had once shocked now seemed visionary. Diplomats whispered of unity, of potential alliances strengthened by the bond forming between human and Lyran. Some skeptics remained, but even they could not deny the sincerity radiating from both individuals. Finally, Lyra took Adam's hand, an unprecedented gesture among her people, and said, "We will walk this path together, human. Not as symbols, not as heroes, but as partners. And in doing so, perhaps the universe will see what can happen when respect, courage, and love intersect." Adam nodded, a rare smile crossing his features. "Then let us begin. Not with promises, but with actions. Not with titles, but with understanding." The council erupted into applause, a sound that carried through the chamber and beyond, echoing into the corridors of power and through the networks of every species represented. For the first time in galactic history, two beings from entirely different worlds had chosen to unite, not by obligation, but by choice. The human and the alien woman had demonstrated that what made a person or a species great was not conquest or power, but heart and courage. News of the declaration spread rapidly across systems. Humans were celebrated, not for might or technology, but for the character that Adam displayed. Lyra became a symbol of wisdom, tempered with emotion, a leader unafraid to show her feelings, even in the most formal settings. Together, their union became a model for diplomacy, proving that understanding and connection could be more powerful than treaties or fleets of warships. As months passed, Adam traveled to Lyra's homeworld, a planet of silver cities and flowing waterways that reflected the stars above. He walked among her people, learning their ways, and found that beneath their calm exterior lay a society of incredible depth, creativity, and respect for life. Lyra guided him through ceremonies and rituals that had been preserved for millennia, and with each shared experience, their bond strengthened. In return, Lyra visited Earth, walking among humans, observing the ingenuity, resilience, and tenacity that had allowed a small planet to reach the stars. She marveled at human art, their debates, their laughter, and their determination to protect their own. Adam introduced her to friends, colleagues, and communities who welcomed her not as an alien guest, but as someone connected to humanity through trust and respect. Together, they faced challenges. Some species questioned the wisdom of such a union. Others attempted to undermine it through manipulation or rumor. Yet Adam and Lyra endured, relying on honesty, courage, and a shared commitment to each other's well-being. Slowly, fear turned into admiration, and skepticism into respect. Years later, the first human Lyran Council was established, co-led by Adam and Lyra. Their partnership had inspired countless other initiatives, fostering interspecies cooperation, cultural exchange, and mutual protection. What began as a shocking declaration in a grand hall had evolved into a movement that reshaped interstellar relations. In private moments, away from the politics and accolades, Adam and Lyra would sit under starlit skies, speaking not of duties or strategy, but of dreams, hopes, and the joy of companionship. The universe, vast and mysterious, seemed less daunting when faced together. They learned that strength came not from power alone, but from connection, understanding, and the courage to embrace the unknown with an open heart. And so, in a universe often defined by conflict and competition, a human and an alien woman proved that the greatest victories were not measured in conquests or fleets, but in trust, respect, and the choice to stand together. The words that had shocked the hall, "I wish you were my husband," human became a legacy, a symbol of hope, and a reminder that even in the cold expanse of space, hearts could find each other, and through that bond, change everything.